Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday Funday. And yes, I know there was no Sunday Funday last week. Big reason why, and trying not to get too political about it, is because of all the protesting that was going on. It was a tense week, and now that the protests have become nothing but pure mob riots, fuck it at this point. Last week, I figured it's like no reason to be funny because nobody was being funny. In fact, there was a lot of bad last week. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. They don't need to see me talking about a movie. So instead, we're here to talk about something that technically came out earlier this year, but it is a 2020 movie. And since, theaters aren't closed because COVID doesn't spread in protests, God, not going to get over that stupidity. Sorry. I'm going to try and keep the political jokes and all this, my own thoughts on everything to myself, because it is just my own thoughts. But instead, we're going to talk about Color Out of Space. Newer Nicolas Cage film. Well, he's pretty much the quote-unquote star.
Nicolas Cage is being Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
It's entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm. So, real quickly, because I am a pretty good Nicolas Cage fan. Like, I've seen most of his movies, some of his good movies, some of his bad movies. And as you can tell with some of my odd mannerisms, I almost kind of take on Nicolas Cage as kind of person. It's not quite as wishy-washy in terms of suddenly going into screaming matches with people. But, I'm not another psychopath. I love Nicolas Cage so much. But I'm going to let Megan give her opinion here on Color Out of Space. Mostly because I think this is something she's not quite as used to. It's a little avant-garde for her. So what did you think of Color Out of Space?
I think what you mean to say is it's a little out there.
Well, truth is out there.
Yeah, it was weird to say the least. I'm not 100% sure what the hell was going on. But yeah, I almost sound like that Hereditary is like, okay, it was good. I enjoyed it. But what the hell did I just watch? What the hell? What happened? Like,
Yeah, to give a quick synopsis on what Color Out of Space, or Color Out of Space is, all I mean is just having strokes, nothing major. But quick synopsis of the film is a family who, they're kind of your typical kind of American family. Two boys, one named Jack and another one called Benny.
something like that.
Yeah, I won't say. Benny is the most forgettable out of them all, unfortunately. And their daughter, is it Levitica?
Lavinia.
Lavinia. Levitica is from fucking, goddamn me not pronouncing Leviticus correctly. Because I'm stupid. And then there's Teresa, the mother. She is a cancer survivor, which plays a bit of a role in the movie, sort of. Better than in the room. And, of course, Nicolas Cage playing the lead character, Nathan.
Yeah, the head of the household, the dad.
Yeah. There's also a prospector or a surveyor.
Yeah, he's a hydrologist.
Yeah.
Supposed to conduct a survey of the water table.
Yeah, his name is Ward. He actually does play into the movie. And there's also Tommy Chong, because I think they happen to do this on his land. And they're like, fuck, you want to be on the movie, Tommy? He's like, why not?
It's like,
cool as could be.
Well, we need an old hippie type person. The quintessential crazy person who knows what's going on and kind of give you hints throughout. But they're also kind of stoned out of their mind. Tommy Chong!
Yeah, and it's mostly because Cher was overbooked for the day. Oh, I like Tommy Chong. I'll just put it that way. But yeah,
He's like the cat he had.
Yeah, he has a cat called G-Spot, strange enough. But it's It reminds me very much of Old Cat Smokey that I've shown way back when. I was like, don't kill it, it's fluffy. But they are a fam. But they're what is their last name? I can't remember what their last names are. But Nicolas Cage and his family, they are living in this remote kind of farm area because they're trying to wind down a little bit to help the mother kind of recover after breast cancer. And ends up there is a meteor that strikes in the middle of their yard, and weirdness begins. Those who might notice
One big long acid trip is all I can say.
those who might notice a few similarities. This is actually based on H.P. Lovecraft's story of the same name, Color Out of Space. From what I can tell, beyond changing somewhat of what happens, but even then, it's not a it's maybe just changing of timelines and quickness of events. Because technically, Color Out of Space, the short story, takes place over a few years, and also it's told first person. The movie, it's actually obviously it's taking place from the different characters' perspectives, and it seems to take place over a few weeks. But even then, it's very ambiguous because constantly they say it's like it seems to be warping time and all that around it, which I think is even hinted at because later on we do see the hydrologist who's there to do studies on the water near there, and he happens to see that this thing is fucking with things. It's like messing with his car, causes a jump scare. Though I will admit, it's at least a jump scare it earned. It wasn't like a cat jump scare. It was like a legitimate, like, well, that makes me want to poop my pants.
It's like, well, I'm out of here.
I was like, fuck it, nope, I'm a black man, I'm getting out of here, is what he should have been saying. So I know I die first.
I was like, I've seen this movie. It's like, I've seen horror movies. I know black guy don't survive.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it seems like it is taking place over a few months, actually, because they seem to be further along on their project than it seems what's happening to the family, which is kind of an interesting thing that I didn't pick up on right away till I watched some of this other stuff, and I went back and watched some of it again because I was like, all right, some of it I'm not 100% getting. And it's not like we weren't paying attention, like we were really glued to the screen. That is one of the great things I think the movie does is it grabs your attention and it doesn't let go. It does start with a bit of slowness, like maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes of kind of setting up everything.
Yeah, just kind of introducing characters and their backstory and just kind of the familial relationships with each other.
Yeah, and because of that, you then get to see what happens when things begin to break down and get put back together again. Mm-hmm. And really, I want to leave it at that. Not saying it's like, oh, we're not going to talk more about the movie, but there is a lot to the film. There is incredible amounts of horror, and not only that, but there's also a great amount of use of color, which is a good thing. The story that's based on, there's a lot about color. There's a lot about not even giving things an actual color. In fact, the big one people might think would be pink in this, but there's actually more purples. There's more light, cooler colors. Then there's some very bright, vibrant, bright colors until like pretty much the end sequence, which is everything's just fucking white and gray. And because it looks like a goddamn nuclear bomb went off.
I'm saying it was like nuclear holocaust.
Yeah. And I don't know. I really I dug this a lot. It's bizarre. It's a Richard Stanley movie. It's very much Island of Dr. Moreau at times that it's so strange. But it's very hard to look away. But maybe it's because of what we got in the early, slower part of the film, where it was building up the family, kind of getting them. It's like, hey, here's Nathan, here's how he acts with things. Here's Teresa, here's how she acts with different things. Here's Jack, or Jack as I called him. It's like, I hear a lawsuit coming your way. But seeing how they all interact with each other, that kind of gives some credence to, like, for instance, the sister and the older brother, they kind of call each other names. Like, he kind of pokes fun at the fact this sister, she is
she's a Wiccan.
Yeah.
She's a Wiccan.
Wiccan. She's a Wiccan. She's a Wiccan.
Well, you saying pagan like threw me off. I was like, no, she's a Wiccan.
Yeah, I'm about to say, not pagan, it's Wiccan. And she actually doesn't even say she is Wiccan.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of pokes fun at her because she is that.
Yeah, and she kind of calls them names right back. It's kind of their dynamic. And they even do it towards the end, almost kind of say, it's like, yeah, I love you too, jerkface.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, love your ass hat. And also, like I said, would be remiss when talking about the horror. It's not a gory film. There is a fair amount of blood, but...
And there's some like nightmare fuel. Like, what?
It's very otherworldly. It's very eldritch. It's very H.P. Lovecraft. And that's another...
Especially the mom and the younger son. Like,
yeah. Yeah, there's some fucked up shit this movie likes to do. And that's another thing. There's points where it could have went almost like cliched routes because there's a cat, there's a dog that gets shown. It's like, oh, the pupper and the kid, you're going to have something terrible happen to them. Yes, but not. It's not shown like what many movies would do. Instead, it leaves a lot more of it to your imagination. Or some of it, like, you just see somewhat of the aftermath, and again, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's like acid trip.
But if that is what you're looking for, this movie does it so well in spades. Like, it does actually use quite a bit of practical effects whenever it probably could have just went cheaper and went with, just like, oh, we're going to do this via, CGI. Sure, there is CGI, but it seems to be used in times whenever it's like, all right, well, we can't pull off this effect with practical effects, not cheaply or at all. It's not physically possible, so it's like, all right, well, we got to use CGI. But, like, for instance, there is a thing with alpacas, which, strange enough, leads to some fantastic, funny moments. Like,
time to milk the alpacas. Okay. Milk the what?
Yeah, it's
my favorite part. I don't know why. Like, it takes us like,
I guess nobody ever thinks about milking an alpaca. But they lead to some great jokes and some just terrifying imagery with the alpacas. And also they do lead to gore, but when they're actually doing most of it's all done through just practical puppetry, which is actually really well done. It's like, okay, that looks really good. And also it's like, oh my god, this would have been CGI if somebody else that didn't give a shit just did this. And
yeah, I think it all serves a purpose. It's not, I don't think there's any bit of this that's gratuitous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, because, like, you don't get, like, what you would think is like, oh, we're going to have just a random rape scene or anything where it's just like, I'm just ripping this dude limb from limb. We're going to watch the whole thing. Even though, obviously, most of our characters would have already turned and ran their asses out. It's like the most, like gross kind of thing is technically, like, one guy who gets, like, a tree shoved down his throat.
That was one of the least disturbing things to me.
Well, even then, it's not, like, super disturbing. It's like one of those, like, I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the horror part of me that really does not like that. Well, doesn't like it in a way like it makes me do this.
Well, it's like after some of the more, like, the slower, more horrific things that we were subjected to, like the alpacas and the mom and the younger son, it's like that's tame. That's what you would typically expect in a horror film. It's like, okay, that I'm more comfortable. That I'm like.
See, I think the reason why it bothered me, not saying you don't have a point, but I think it's because some of it I have sort of seen with Hellraiser and some of the other Hellraiser films. It's not that it's exactly like a Hellraiser film, but there is certain things I'm like, okay, this is very... Because obviously Clive Barker does derive a lot of his influence from H.P. Lovecraft. Some of it feels like almost crossing road, but it feels more homage to it than anything. It's like, hey, look, we understand that Clive Barker didn't write this or anything. It's like, and when this is H.P. Lovecraft's story, but here's something that looks like it could fit in either one of them. Because it's just terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, just everything before that, it's like so, like, slow, and everybody's like, oh my god, like, just kill it with fire and get it over with. Oh my god, just like, and then that was like that was over with that quickly. It's like, okay, that's more than I expected. Horror films. Like, it's almost a relief after all the stuff the movie put us through. It's like, okay, thank you. Finally, some familiarity in the territory of horror movies. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's...
Yeah, I think like horror movie wise, it almost like allows you to just kind of breathe for a second, kind of get some, get your footing in a horror movie.
Yeah, even though there's also another point where the movie decides to do, I will give him this much, it is it would almost seem gratuitous, but it's a very moment of self-mutilation. That is...
Yeah, you talking about the daughter?
Yeah, and wow. All I can say is like, God, movie.
There's kind of purpose behind it.
And it's weird to describe it. Again, it's much like this movie. It's very hard to describe. And if I can give the movie a negative, there's that. It's an incredibly difficult movie to try and sit there and describe. Like, if I were to go through and just tell you all of what happens, one, it's going to kind of ruin a lot of the film. Two, that is the issue, is that some of it is so otherworldly I can't describe it, but also it's so otherworldly that sometimes it's hard to always be as freaked out by it as you think you should be. Some of it I am legitimately just, it unnerves me, it bothers me. But it almost veers a little too much, a little otherworldly towards like, alright, that just seems so weird that's not real at all in my brain. I'm like, alright, well, it's not as... Maybe it's just how I am. I was raised up on horror movies, especially the Hellraiser film, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I, however, had a normal childhood.
Well, so I had a totally normal childhood as well. I solved the box and only had to talk to 2 Cenobites my entire life. She was staring at me with a what the fuck look.
Yeah, says the guy who, well, when you were like 3 or 4, you saw Total Recall.
I was 4. I remember I saw Total Recall. And one of the other movies I saw after that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They all came out around the same, or they came out near enough that I was like, watch all these. I didn't care. Total Recall was fun. So was RoboCop when I watched it. Though as a kid, I loved RoboCop 2 more just because it was a little bit more action-packed. Though I still almost agree with RoboCop 2 being better. Which I know a lot of people are like, yeah,
it's like the director's cut of the first one. It's like, yeesh.
God, that movie.
It's like, talking about gratuitous.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that... It's weird to describe the big, or the only glaring flaw with Color Out of Space being that it's hard to describe at times. And I think that also is going to possibly hurt some people being able to view us. Because, one, you do have to be willing to want to sit there and watch what you know is going to be a weird movie. Like, think of Videodrome. Again, Hellraiser, Brazil. Maybe
you really have to, I think, go into this with an open mind. Just no real preconceived notion. Just like, okay, just kind of knuckle down and like try and pay close attention to the story.
Yeah, because I will say, if you try to start breaking apart some of the science or anything, your brain's gonna hurt. Because
it's an alien organism.
Really, it's just pure and utter just weirdness for weirdness' sake at times. But I was actually surprised, like, the more I read up about the original story, like, the more this is actually very faithful to it. Sure.
It's more modern day with more modern dialogue.
Yeah, and there's obviously some modern conveniences they do, but I'm fine with that. And I also...
Like, the organism messes with, like, their cell phones. And,
and televisions and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of... Best way to put it is there's a lot of little clever things they decided to do to change up and make the movie, one, feel a little bit more new. Because if it was just set in the 1800s, it might feel a little stale. I think that's one of the issues that always held back The Woman in Black in my mind. You've never seen The Woman in Black, have you? I need to show it to you. It's actually a pretty good PG-13 horror film. Like, it is a good PG-13 horror movie. Like, it was a movie that I was like, at one point, I'm like, oh my god, please stop. It's fucking bothering me. It's like legitimately like just freaking me out. I actually really, if y'all have never seen Woman in Black, go watch it. It's actually fucking good. Even though the ending is fucking sad. And it's got Harry Potter too. But yeah, anything else you want to say about the color out of space?
Yeah, I still don't know what the fuck is going on. Just it's like what happened? What why would okay? So it's supposed to be doing this because of this reason. I still don't get it. I don't entirely get it, but it surprisingly it did not take away from my overall enjoyment. I think because it was still a good movie, a good story. It was weird and unnerving at times when it's supposed to be unnerving, and it had like just the right amount of humor to kind of ease up on the tension, and of course Nicolas freaking Cage just being Nick Cage.
Oh yeah, I'm totally forgetting about Nick Cage. Just God, he's a delight in this movie.
I mean, sometimes he's like acting normal. It's like oh hey, let's just all get along, let's all be a family, and and
then he slips in a vampire kiss.
It's like, whatever happened to good old fashioned teamwork? Can I get a little cooperation around here?
And he's doing it like mocking his daughter at times. It's funny as fuck. At the same time, it's kind of terrifying. It's like, can I get a little cooperation around here? It's like that's how he's doing it. Like he's purposely doing it to make fun of how she's talking. And it's like, why are you an asshole?
I was like, Father of the Year right there, but he's still somehow delightful to watch.
Yeah, and it's... God.
Like I suspect that little, like, can I get a little cooperation? I would not be surprised if that was actually a rant he went on set, and the writers, just to kind of be dicks, put that in the script.
Possibly. Yeah, just... Nicolas Cage, almost him alone is worth watching a movie. Like, even if you're not a huge horror fan, but you like Nick Cage performances, this is one of the quintessential. There we go, I can't even say it. Don't mind me.
Oh.
Quintessence, there we go. Like, is there a race from, like, fucking Power Rangers? Or something? I might be confusing with Mass Effect, who knows?
I think you're thinking the, like, Aquatanians or...
No, I'm thinking of Q-Aria or whatever. The one lady who's from that, she only asked questions.
Talk only questions, like...
Yeah, it's like, bitch, just be honest and straightforward. It's like, slap around. Made me come in that tube.
He's like, let's do something a little bit different from Zordon. Let's do annoying.
Now, she wasn't annoying. She was baffling.
Or was she?
You ever know what it feels like to get yeeted out of a window?
Well, I got yeeted up to the ceiling last night, so...
Yeah, that was almost a whoopsie. Hiya! Oh, but... They got purple. I know she's turning redder than a peach. Well, peaches aren't super red. How about an apple?
They're doing a green impression of tomato.
So, anything else you want to say about Color Out of Space? Now that you have a drinkage.
I'm getting thirsty.
Well, my dick's right here. No, don't use that line on somebody you don't really know.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my god. Watch, that's gonna be a thumbnail.
If it pops up, I choose it. I use it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I shut up. Oh.
So, anything else you want to say about the film?
No, at least not without, like, giving it all No way. 'Cause we talked about it probably more than enough.
Bag Red Hot Chili Peppers and give it away.
Don't be your nipple hair, man.
Leave the nipples alone.
I didn't say that one.
I covered both. My arms aren't that short.
I
I'm
was like,
about to say, I may be a T-Rex. I ain't got that short goddamn arms. So, what would you give Color Out of Space, though, for a final score, at least?
I'm kind of torn. Like I said, I'm still not 100% sure what the hell is going on. But, like, it didn't really take away from my overall enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting 8.
I'm going to be a bit higher. Maybe
I figured you would.
Maybe just because this did bring me back to some of just the better horror films I watched when I was younger. And all that, but it brought me back to a time whenever we had horror films that won't just be outright fucking bizarre.
And not just bizarre for the sake of being bizarre.
Yeah, and they at least still tried to tell a story that was semi-coherent. And that is the one thing. As weird as this is, and as much as what the fuck it gets into,
There's still somewhat of a coherent story.
yeah, it's not like half the other goddamn movies I've watched where I'm like, I don't know what the hell's happening here now.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't know what all is going on. It's like, I don't completely understand the rules of the organism and what it was trying to accomplish. I mean, I know they kind of sort of explained it, but it's like they kind of didn't. But
It didn't need to be explained super well for you to 100% get it.
yeah, I was like, I got it at the same time I didn't get it.
Yeah, if I give my final score, though, it's a 9. It's not a perfect 10 because it does have that little bit. It's so weird that it almost ventures into being just, I don't know, territory. But I enjoyed it more than enough. I think this is actually one of the better horror films we've actually gotten in a while. I'm so happy we finally got something that is decent and something watchable. Also, yay, a good movie again instead of bullshit. Let's say, if you see my pain over the past 2 months, I think I've gotten like 3 good movies, if that.
Poor baby. Come, lay thine head upon my bosom.
Say, let me lay the head on the boobies. Oh, but hey, I actually do know what's going to be up after this. So, shortly after all this, probably tomorrow I'll have this recorded. You will get another review from me to make up for the fact you had none last week, and possibly another review. Just depends on how I feel. But the next review will be over VFW, because I wanted to watch another horror film. And why the hell not? I got Stephen Lang in the damn... Is Stephen Lang? Sorry? Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking Scott Lang was what I was supposed to say. I'm like, no, that's Ant-Man. Don't mind me, folks. I probably need to go to bed. But hey, I will get back with y'all, since unfortunately the beautiful Megan will not be here for a VFW review. But I'll be back later with the VFW review and give you my thoughts on what it is. And also I might throw a couple more movies, because there's 2 I really want to get to that I think it's more me and less of something Megan gives 2 fucks about. But hey, until then, we'll see you all later. So until then, everybody, bye-bye.